This weekend, Major General Jeffrey Buchanan stopped by to talk with student media and the ROTC population.
And the gymnastics team is selling sweet treats and flipping for tips in the MU Quad in order to raise money for their trip to nationals.
Finally, we're taking an inside look at how ASOSU's ticket bill is affecting how students camp out for tickets. We'll have all that and more on tonight's episode of the Beaver News.
Good evening to your Monday night edition of the Beaver News. I'm Holly Clausen.
And I'm Brenda Ivey. We're sure glad you could join us this evening. After an exciting, record-breaking season so far, the Beavers experienced their first loss of the season on Saturday against the Huskies. The game was tied up until the Huskies' Travis Kuhn kicked a field goal, winning the game for Washington. OSU was hit with several injuries in the game, including Jordan Poyer, who sprained his right knee and is not expected at practice for a few days. Storm Woods aggravated his already injured knee, but is not expected to miss practice. And most notably, Marcus Wheaton got knocked out of the game early with a concussion. He is not expected to be at practice this week. And while we may have lost Wheaton, it looks like we gained a quarterback controversy. ESPN announced that Cody Vaz will start as quarterback for this Saturday's game against Arizona State.
Today marked the first day ASOSU's Bill 7202, commonly known as the Ticket Bill, was implemented. On Sunday evening, students with tents were told to stay behind the barricades around Reeser. At around 4 this morning, Reeser security personnel woke up the campers so that they could pack up their belongings. At 5 this morning, the line started. All those who arrived to Reeser after 5 were told to go to the back of the line, which wrapped almost completely around the stadium. Reporter Alex Miller went out to the campsite to ask students what they thought about the new bill.
I've been going to games ever since my freshman year. I've been to all of them. And I think because we're doing better, I think that we need to have a better system because they're so high in demand that there are lots of people that want good tickets.
I'm a big fan of the camping out, and I don't want to see that go away because the lottery system is a crapshoot. I know the U of O does it, and you're lucky to get a ticket there. At least here, the most dedicated fans are, for the most part, guaranteed to get a ticket unless you have a lot of cutting like what's been going on this year.
The problem is more with people trying to abuse the system and showing up and cutting in front of the campers, and they are really, really handicapped when it comes to that because they have tents to break down. They can't abandon their stuff, so they have no other choice than to be cut by the people who just walk up in the last hour or two.
Previous rule was 24 hours, and that was really nice because that gave you a Saturday to do your homework, and then Sunday you could commit to camping out, which should happen again. It's not part of the rules this time, but it should be. And someone monitoring the line at all times would be nice too. That way you don't have people cutting in the middle of the day, because right now at 5 a.m. people are going to get here before that and cut, and so that's still going to be a problem.
We've been here since midnight last night.
Midnight last night? How many hours have we been here?
I don't know. I haven't gone to bed yet.
Creeping up on 18 hours.
18
Creeping up
hours.
Actually, yeah, 18.
Basically what we're trying to say is the ticket system is perfect as it is.
We love the system because we love camping and we love parking lot parties.
Yes, football is great.
I think it really supports the most dedicated fans. Folks that are willing to show up here at midnight on Saturday. It really shows the dedication that we have for our team and this kind of support that we like to give them.
So that looks a lot better than when I camped out. I camped out for homecoming football tickets, and it was just a mess. People cut in line at the last minute. It looks like they finally figured out how to get it a little bit more organized. You were out there last night, weren't you?
Yes, I was, and it's actually a lot better. Students are a lot less frustrated when they go out, and it's a lot more positive experience for everyone.
That's good. That's good. So we need to keep that up. So on Friday, students had the honor of listening to Major General Jeffrey Buchanan talk about trust between the military and the media. He left students with advice that can be applied in every aspect of life. His basic message: trust is important in everything you do. Major General Buchanan's discussion included the necessity of admitting when you've made a mistake, the value of forging relationships, and awareness of personal values. We have a sample of that presentation for you.
And I think that we have to work hard from a military perspective to build relations with the media.
What would you say is the most important factor in trust between the military and the media?
Well, I do think it's those four factors, but we really got to work hard to understand each other. I think that we need to understand each other. We need to understand what our culture is, what our values are, and then we've got to work hard to maintain those values.
One thing the general said, the private can tell a story just as good as the general can, or just as good as the sergeant can, or just as good as the lieutenant. And being a student veteran and now part of the media, I came away with a better understanding of how to be a little bit more professional in the media, try and ask the questions. I think that, everything that he said, trying to understand the media better as a veteran is equally important, especially with my counterparts in the new media major.
When people like me want to communicate with people of your age, what are some, I'm just going to ask a question, what do you think some of the breakdowns or the pitfalls are? I mean, if the way I communicate with you is by lecturing you, how positive is that? How well do you receive that? Not very well. That's not how you communicate. That's not how you communicate with each other. And so I'm going to go back to Captain Allgaier here. What's the average age of the folks? Yeah, I know you're not wearing a watch. What's the average age of the folks in your company?
Average age folks in my company? Oh, probably between 18 and 23.
Okay. And how did they communicate?
Cell phone, Facebook.
So if he relied only on him in what I would call the transmission mode, him lecturing other people, or he's going to put out something and not receive it, and his means of putting it out. In my case, if I relied solely on radio and television, who am I going to reach? The people who listen to the radio and watch TV, which is not necessarily the people we want to reach. When you look at the world, you have to understand how the world communicates. And as a leader, if you want to communicate with an audience, you need to understand that audience and figure out how they communicate, and then be able to operate in that sphere.
Do you have broken items lying around the house? The Oregon State Repair Fair is going on until 9 p.m. tonight at the Student Sustainability Center located on Southwest 15th Street. The categories of items that will be accepted at this term's fair include bikes, clothing, computers, small electronics, furniture, guitars, and houseware. The event, sponsored by Campus Recycling and the Student Sustainability Center, is focusing on helping to save money while also saving natural resources.
Speaking of recycling, campus recycling is being taken to a new level. OSU is selling 5 structures in an effort to repurpose the no longer needed buildings. 3 houses are on the market, including the 2-story former Black Cultural Center and the Native American Longhouse. A garage and a shed are also being offered. The structures are being sold through a sealed bid auction, which means that bids are not publicly disclosed, and the buildings will go to the highest bidder. Bidding starts at only $100, but there is a catch. The winning bidder will have to remove the structures from OSU property.
Friday marked the beginning of this term's Humans vs. Zombies tags game. Players can be recognized either as a zombie by wearing their bright green headband or a human by wearing a bright green armband. Students will be playing the game throughout the end of this week and until all humans are either dead or all zombies are starved. Residents and staff can expect to see students taking part in the game of tag in all outdoor areas on campus.
The Civil War football game is still about a month away, but in the Pac-12 Fitness Challenge, OSU almost doubled U of O's activity minutes on rival day. OSU clocked in at 12,655 minutes of activity among students, and U of O came in at 6,570. The Pac-12 Fitness Challenge was a contest on Facebook among the Pac-12 schools to track the fitness levels of students. While the official results are not in yet, over 2 million minutes of student activities were recorded.
After a lawsuit was filed in 2009 against the university, the court decision has emerged that is not in OSU's favor. The lawsuit was placed against the university for not allowing for a liberal newspaper to be distributed on campus. Evidence shows that paper receptacles were found abandoned in campus storage. The court case deals with the right to freedom of speech. University official Vincent Mortorello has stated that the school was following an unwritten rule designed where off-campus newspapers could be distributed. District Court Judge Ann Aiken dismissed the case in a lower court, and attorney Heather Hacker praised the choice, stating, quote, "Universities should encourage and not shut down the free exchange of ideas," end quote.
Well, it shouldn't come as any surprise that in a college town, the weekend before Halloween, the police department is extra busy. This weekend saw an influx of officers called out and citations being issued because of parties, other disturbances, and alcohol issues. We've got the weekend breakdown for you according to the Corvallis Police Department. There were 60 police calls for disorder, which include loud party complaints, and 19 calls for alcohol issues, which include attempted purchases by minors, consumption in public, and hosting parties for minors. So fall is my favorite time of the year. Absolutely, hands down, mainly because of Halloween, but also because during the fall, you know, there's all those yummy treats and hot cider and cupcakes.
Candy apples.
Yeah, and so speaking of yummy things to eat, the gymnastics team is having a bake sale. And so we've got a little bit of footage of that for you guys to look at.
Well, right now we're having a bake sale for Gymnastics Club. We're hoping to raise money and funds for sending us to nationals. We're having a competitive team of like 15 to 20 people, hopefully, and sending about 10 of them on to nationals to succeed, which will be held in Minnesota this year. And we're just hoping to raise enough money to help support the students that will not be able to provide their full fare out there. This bake sale is being held Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 10:30 to 5:30 in the MU Quad this entire week.
Sunday's Fall Crew Classic was held in Portland over the weekend. The Oregon State Beavers crew team made a great finish in their races, as they were first and second in the varsity men's 8+ division and the varsity men's 4+ division. The team's next challenge is the Head of Lake Regatta this Sunday. Keep it up, Beavers.
November 6th is the big election day, and Benton County residents should have already received their ballots. But it can get a little tricky for students who don't live at home and use residence halls as their mailing address. Usually it isn't a problem. Students can just have their parents forward their mail to them. But not when it comes to election ballots. Election Supervisor Jim Van Buren says it's actually illegal for ballots to be forwarded to a different address. So if students have not received their ballots yet, she advises them to contact the county elections office to get a replacement ballot.
The Corvallis Half Marathon may not take place until April of next year, but training always starts early. The Early Bird Special is currently being offered online, where runners who register for the race before Wednesday, October 31st, will get the special price of $45. Runners who register after that date until the end of the year will pay $55, and after January 1st will pay $65. Those who are interested in running the third annual race can register online before Wednesday for this special price.
With the rain and chilly weather comes flu season. The Center for Disease Control reports that every year in the U.S. between 5 and 20% of the population get the flu virus, with more than 200,000 ending up in the hospital due to complications from the illness. And about 36,000 actually die from the virus. There are some tips to keep you healthy during flu season, including regularly washing your hands, avoiding touching your face, getting a flu shot, and staying home if you're sick to avoid passing it to others. Student Health Services is offering flu vaccines for students and faculty in the MU Room 109 from 10 to 3 November 13th. The cost for students is $15 and is charged directly to your student accounts.
And that is all the time we have for tonight's newscast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Clausen.
And I'm Brenda Ivey. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for the Beaver News.